Wow, 3 videos in 3 days, huh? Yes, it's happening. Because I have an idea I want to talk about, and it doesn't really work for an article. Usually, I will use my best ideas for articles first because I get paid for those, and then if it doesn't work for an article or no one wants it, I will do a video. But like, I don't know how to pitch this as an article really. I mean, I guess, but like for the format of the sites I write for, it's just not gonna work, I don't think. So, because it's International Women's Month, I figured now would be a good time to talk about this. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time, which is why are the women in the MCU so serious? And I know when I say that, it's gonna sound like I'm like, smile, honey, why aren't you smiling? It's not about smiling, it's about the women tend to be the sticks in the mud. The men get to have fun, and the women have to clean up their messes and be like, ugh, why are you like this? Why are you so stupid? Why are you so silly? And like, it's just frustrating because it's like, for so long that was the woman's role. It's almost like the equivalent of like the men get to go out and do everything, and the women have to stay home and do chores. That was like, it's the equivalent. It's not exactly that, but you know what I mean. Because you have Black Widow saying her line, "I'm always picking up after you boys," and that line always kind of bugged me because she's the one who always has to be the serious one where they get to do the fun stuff. And same with Gamora and Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm glad we have Mantis now, even though I know a lot of people don't like her. I like her because she's fun. And but in that first Guardians movie, Gamora was the serious one, and everyone else was just having fun and getting to be silly, and she didn't get to. So that kind of was disappointing. And like Hope and Ant-Man, and even just like the love interest characters, like all of them were kind of like that as well. Pepper used to be like that, which is why I love what she did in Endgame. I loved when she suited up in Endgame because she was embracing the Iron Man thing. So I really liked how they kind of rectified that. But there's just so many times it's just like the women are the serious ones and the men get to have all the fun, and it's like the women have to take on the mom role. And I know this is probably because early in Marvel there was a lot of stipulations involving the women and how they were allowed to be used. They could not do a female hero movie. That's why we had to wait till 2019 for that. They could not do a female villain, which is why Iron Man 3 kind of went the way it did, because Maya was supposed to be the villain and that was not allowed. So basically, you had like the love interest and like Black Widow and maybe Gamora. I don't know if that was still at the time. This is when Ike Perlmutter was in charge. You may have heard of that guy, or at least he was partly in charge. Kevin Feige was also there, but Ike Perlmutter was making a lot of these decisions. Like, he wouldn't even allow toys of female characters. It's like women were put in this very small box, and I think when you do that, they're like, the idea is like, hey, we're gonna have some women, and we don't have very many of them, so they have to be good role models. And this was the same thing. This used to be the case on Sesame Street. Sesame Street was very much a boys' club, and then you had like Prairie Dawn. And I've seen even in interviews they're like, hey, she had to be this kind of like properly behaved girl, all nice, and like she got to be funny and stuff, but she didn't get to be silly and like outright wild like someone like Cookie Monster, for example, or I don't know, like Grover even, although Grover's not as crazy as Cookie Monster, but still. So I think that was the case with MCU for a while, and that was disappointing to me. And I would love going to the movies, but I would always feel like I related more to the male characters because they had more range, and I didn't really relate to the women as much because they were just the mom of the group or the stick in the mud, and I didn't really relate to that. Um, it has gotten better. I think even there's more characters being able to have fun now, and I think even with the more serious ones, they're allowing them to show more emotion and have more range, and just like get to be more fleshed out people besides like, I'm just gonna roll my eyes at everything. I think Wanda is really good. I think she like is allowed to get angry, and she's allowed to feel grief, and she's allowed to like, her emotion drives the story. Like in WandaVision especially, but even in Endgame, she got to go really wild, and it was great. That's why she made her mistake in Civil War. I think too, she's allowed to make mistakes. She's allowed to not be perfect. And I think Sylvie from Loki is probably the best example of the more serious woman, because at first she just like rolls her eyes at Loki and like that's her thing, and she's the superior Loki or whatever. She does everything great and whatever. And then you find out like, no, she like is kind of like has a wild streak herself. She's like, she has all these strong emotions. She does that scream. I love that scream. She's like, ah, when she's so frustrated when they're stuck on the moon, and it's just awesome. And then at the end, she like what's the word? Gives in to that urge to kill he who remains and let the multiverse free and set everybody free, even though it might not be the best idea, and she doesn't want to think it through. And she's just allowed to be a fully fleshed out character. Even though she's a more serious one, she's allowed to show emotion. But even then, like, I still want to see more women have fun, and we have in the more recent movies. I think Black Panther was such a breath of fresh air for me because the women were the ones making all the quips and like doing all the laughing and everything, and then T'Challa was a serious one, and I really liked that. It was like a role reversal, and it was great, and it was just like they all got to be different. Like all the women were very different from each other as well. None of them filled that like archetype of the mom of the group or just that. Like they helped, they were caring, they helped and stuff, but like they weren't like cleaning up everybody's mess because they had to, because no one else would. Captain Marvel as well, like you could see when she's fighting in her movie, especially, she's like, "Wee, I'm having fun," and like that's great. It's great. The female villains, now that we're allowed to have them, they're awesome. Hela was having a lot of fun in Thor Ragnarok. Agatha was amazing in WandaVision. And even like the side characters, Katie and Shang-Chi, she was making a lot of jokes. It was great. So I think it's getting better, but like I don't want to see these mom character, like I mean mom, like not literal moms. Moms are a good thing, it's fine, you can be a mom, but like even like Aunt May, I think, is like an improvement over the other like women, the caregiving whatever women, because sorry about that, got a little interruption, but yeah, I feel like Aunt May compared to like Pepper or whoever, who is a little different because Aunt May's not a love interest, but I feel like she was able to like laugh and have fun more and just be like a more fully fleshed out person rather than just rolling her eyes at Peter, and she wasn't doing that, so I thought that was really good. So here's to more of this in the future. Here's to more fully fleshed out women, like women having fun especially. I'm hoping for that. I'm looking forward to She-Hulk. I think that's going to be awesome. Thor Love and Thunder, yes, like give it all to me. Hopefully Ms. Marvel as well. And yeah, so that's just my thoughts. You can share yours. I always felt like DC was better in this department, so I'm glad Marvel is catching up. Like you had like Harley Quinn, who was not afraid to be kind of crazy and like not a role model. So you had that. And even Wonder Woman, who's like considered like the ultimate role model for women in DC or whatever. She got to like be naive and everything in her movie, so I think that was cool rather than just an archetype. They get to be characters, and I think that is awesome. So let me know what you think. Happy International Women's Month, and yeah, that's it.